Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about today's energy update. I know that I normally just do these at the beginning of the month, but since there's so much stuff going on in the world right now, there's a lot of energetic shifts in consciousness. I just want to hold some space for all of the transitions that are taking place in our reality. So let's get started. So the biggest thing that is happening in our consciousness right now is that our higher self is crystallizing into our physical body, and our physical body is transcending into the fifth dimension full time. So the fifth dimension, for many of us leaders and starseeds and light workers, our physical body is being anchored into the fifth dimension as our baseline frequency, as our standard frequency of existence. And our higher self is holding space within our body, crystallizing into our physical reality as our main experience in life. So us and our higher self are kind of fusing together. The physical and the higher self are fusing together into this oneness, and it's creating a very large ripple effect in humanity as we're all shifting together. And it's a very potent time for humanity's awakening and the shift of all things. And so as the leaders, many of you are leaders here. If you're watching this, you're being initiated into this, but this is a very important time for us to stand strong in our spirituality. And something that Spirit has also been moving through is releasing old witch wound programming around being afraid to show up in our depth of spirituality, and really coming forward as, this is me, this is my reality. Like, you're the weird one for not knowing how to be multidimensional. Not really, but kind of holding that space of like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not weird. This is just my life. This is how we live our life now. This is how the new earth lives our life. You're the one actually behind. And again, I'm not saying that in like a negative way, but like understanding that you're not weird or wrong as showing up as a being that has more understanding of dimensions and consciousness. So yeah, and a lot of old programming is releasing for the higher light to be crystallized and fused with the physical body. So if we have a lot of density, the higher self isn't gonna want to come in as strong because they're like, I don't have as much room around here. The higher self needs space to navigate within you. But if you're closed off and saying, I don't believe that the spirit, like my spirit can come through me and show and usher miracles in my life, then you're not going to do that. So it's a matter of also opening yourself up to being like, actually, I do believe that things can get better. I do believe that my higher self can come through me. I do believe that good things are possible just in general, and more of that releasing of old programming of the old matrix of the 3D that says, this world is not going to get better. You can't trust anyone. You shouldn't trust anyone. You should be afraid all the time. You should be afraid of the leaders. You should be afraid of your neighbors. That energy is no longer serving literally anyone and has never served anyone. But it's actually the physical time where we're transitioning out of it and saying, that's not helpful. Let's figure out something else to do. So on top of this, as we're fusing your higher self with your physical body, what is happening is your electrons are activating. Your higher self electrons are fusing with your physical self electrons, and in that fusing, the old density rushes away, and the new frequency comes in and amplifies. So you're creating this super electron. When we're in this super electron state of being, this is where we co-create so effortlessly and so easily from a state of like, I know that this is what is meant to be. Because when you're in this super electron state, when you're in this higher state fusion consciousness, your energy is associated with unconditional love, harmony, unity for all, oneness, collectivity, community, honor, grace, all of that stuff. And as more and more people's baseline frequency comes into their higher self, we all realize that the higher self in many of us are very similar. And so we naturally come into this state of oneness, naturally come into this state of unity. And so in that, many of our collective dreams of creating the new earth is coming online. So it's very important that you create this super electron energy within your body. And as we continue to learn more about super electron energy, this is where we can learn how to physically biolocate. This is where we can physically learn how to immaculately conceive and things like that. It's not a place that we're at yet consciously, and we're getting there. So this is all about the baby steps to get to those places that the magic schools back in all of time basically have been trying to teach. And so now the magic schools are just regular life. Like, we are moving through the craziest and most amazing consciousness initiation, and I'm just so stoked to be a leader here for it. So thank you for being here. Quick plug for me if you're new. Hello, I'm Lydia. I'm an energy healer. I work with the mind, body, and soul to help accelerate human consciousness. I'm so grateful to be here. If you're new, please subscribe, like, and comment. Hit that ding notification bell. I also have a Patreon if you want to join for extra videos and content like this. So go check that out. I also do services, energy healings, and one-on-one sessions. Go check that out. I'm on TikTok almost 5 days a week. 5 days a week from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. every single day, doing energy healings and activating the collective. So join. It's Lydia Divine Healer or Lydia Joy on my TikTok. Okay, continuing on. The 3D version of us is completely starting to not serve you at all. Especially around like the way that we used to manifest in the 3D, or the way that we used to understand money in the 3D is completely shifting. Like, it's not resonating anymore. It's like, it's not actually going to be helpful to you to manifest from the old way that you were manifesting. You're manifesting now from that super electron energy of knowing that you are in oneness with all things. That might only resonate for some people. Some people might have been manifesting from that higher state of consciousness all along. Some people might not have. So it's very specific to you and what feels right to you. So again, like, even just old ways of like talking to yourself, or old ways of thinking through things, or old ways of self-shaming, like all of those things, those are out. They don't work anymore. Like, it doesn't vibe with us. We're not doing that anymore. We're not doing the self-shame. We're not holding on to those lower frequencies, but we can experience them. That's the thing. We're not holding on to these frequencies as being like, oh yeah, this is normal for us to always hate ourselves, or like always hate existence, or hate the people around us, or not be able to trust others. That's not actually normal. That's very much a skewed definition and skewed experience of life. Normal and neutral and natural is a state of unconditional love, because that is our birthright. That is our baseline frequency that was embedded in us when we were created from absolute light. Okay, so we're coming back to like an absolute light state of consciousness without all of the old manipulation and programming that took place throughout all of the time since the fall, and since all of the corruption that took place. So we're kind of in this end of a karmic cycle where we're like, we're no longer going to be tuning into that corruption anymore, but we're actually creating something new, which is the new earth consciousness, the divine matrix, coming back to the Garden of Eden. And again, the programming of the 3D fades off you as you continue to ascend, but it's also a matter of consciously choosing to release some of the third dimensional density to get into a higher state of being. And that can be, again, like I just said, all of that stuff like self-shaming and like all that stuff. It doesn't serve you to hold on to that, but it can serve you to feel it for a moment and let it go and be like, oh, that's not me anymore. Time to go. That's where it serves you. So like, if we completely deny our feelings altogether, then we're still staying in the third dimensional consciousness. So it's a fun little mix of things that we got to work through. So that's what I'm going to say on that. Again, we often cling to the 3D for comfort, not actually because it serves us. So be very aware of that. Like when you're clinging on to old ways of consciousness because it feels comfortable, because it's what you know. And real quick, if you're here, it's because your soul is asking you to fully commit to ascending into the higher state of consciousness, into the 5D at this time, full time. Okay, so previously we've kind of been like, oh, we're moving in through the 3, the 4, the 5D. We're moving up in all of these realms of consciousness, but we're being asked now when we're grounding to not be grounding into the 3D, not be grounding into the 4D, but actually grounding into the 5D as we are anchoring in the physical representation of fifth dimensional consciousness. Yeah. So here's a fun thing. Allow people to be in awe of you. Instead of like holding on to this thing of like, I trigger people all the time, which I always say that. I say that I'm like a walking trigger, but I'm trying to change that narrative of being like, people are in awe of me. And in that awe, it triggers something inside of them to be like, how do I get there? How do I do that? So we do want you to be a little bit different in the way that you show up in the world. And this is the catalyst. And so like, if you're afraid to transcend into 5D because you're like, I'm going to be too different, like people are, blah, 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 that's kind of the point. So if you're not ready for that yet, that's okay. But if you're here, it does feel like your soul is calling you to transcend and be in the 5D as your baseline frequency. Your divine self, like your divine higher self and your divine inner child, are the ones that are going to be leading you through this transition. So just really hold on to space for your divine inner child. Confirmation. Hold space for your divine inner child and tune into them and their magic of self. So the divine inner child might not be the inner child that you're holding on to as your programmed version of inner child. It might be the inner child that was here before you came onto earth, the inner child that was here before the fall, the inner child inside of you that holds on to divine innocence, divine sovereignty, divine justice. All of those energies are inside that inner child. So tune into the most purest form of the divine inner child. And your physical body could be experiencing a lot of symptoms from this because of all of the, the super electron colliding together. Again, the higher electron and the lower electron condensing into what is now the fifth dimensional electron state of being. And so your physical body might feel this. You might feel certain things in your back, in your hips, in your body. You might feel really tired. You could get bursts of getting very excited about something. You could get headaches. So there's a lot of things in this that could physically be taking place because of the physical transition that's taking place. So give yourself a lot of grace, give yourself a lot of love, give yourself a lot of self-care, tune into the highest version of your self-care possible, and do not shame yourself for maybe not wanting to do a yoga session one day, or not shaming yourself for whatever, but also hold discipline to yourself to be like, I do want to show up in the best way that I can. So if it means I need to do a little quick yoga session, even though I don't always want to, sometimes that can also be helpful. So it's a matter of learning how to balance that of like, what is shame versus discipline, and holding on to that for your body. But mainly overall, listen to your body, give your body a lot of love, give your body a lot of grace, and just honor whatever you're feeling and feel into it truly. And a lot of the symptoms that are taking place in the body are from the higher self making room in your body and bringing that through you, making room so that the higher self can fully come in and crystallize into your physical form. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for today. Yeah, the super energy, the super electron inside of you is doing a lot of work right now. So be very open for all of the transmissions and all of the shifting that's taking place. Be very open for your multidimensional self, and be very open for this is a huge thing, and I've talked about this before, but timeline convergences of all of your past timelines in your highest good and the good of mankind that are coming together and giving you information in this super electron frequency, okay? So your higher self knows all of your past selves, know all of your timeline trajectories, and it's coming now into your physical body. With that, you're gaining so much information in your body all at once. Sometimes this can be overwhelming. Sometimes this can be really beautiful. So take it how it feels right to you, but be just so open for all of the wisdom that is coming into your vessel at this time. And that's what I'm going to say for this. I'm sending you guys so much love as you're moving through this time, moving through this transition, and anchoring in the new earth through your physical being. I'm so proud of each and every one of you for being here, for showing up today, and clicking on this video. So I love you so much. Mwah. Have a great rest of your day, beautiful. Bye.